Okay, before we start animating, the first thing I want to do is go over the phoneme shapes, which we talked about in class before, but I wanted to show you guys the shapes of the target shapes when you're creating the blend shapes. Okay, so I just opened up another file inside the scenes folder called For Seniors Blend Shapes Targets, and I'm just making visible all the different layers here. And what I want to notice is that there's a lot of target shapes for this. Okay, in particular, I want to take a look at the phonemes layer here. All right, so this face, for example, is the E face. Okay, this is the A face, as in apple. All right, E as in geek. All right, O as in orangutan. O. Okay, your mouth is a little rounder. Okay, this is a U shape right here, when your mouth gets a little pointy. And this is an important one. It's a F or a V, where the tip of your mouth gets closed, and actually the top lip goes over the bottom lip. Okay, and the last one is or F. It's usually when you close your mouth because you want to make that sound. All right, so there's 6 shapes here, and they are called phonemes. E, A, O, U, V, Okay, and if you have these 6 shapes, then I think that you can create some really convincing lip syncing animation. There are also shapes called visemes that are very similar. Some people prefer visemes over phonemes, while other people prefer phonemes over visemes. I don't think doesn't make too much of a difference. I've seen amazing lip syncing animation done with phonemes as well as visemes. Okay, so it really depends on how you animate it and the time you take into making those shapes. All right, so if your character is set up with these shapes, then you can use your character for today's animation, but otherwise please use the Meeper rig file, which we're going to open up in just a second. Right, and the file that you want to use is the 23-meeper final underscore high res underscore 04. So let's open that up. So I've just opened up the file 23-meeper final high res underscore 04. So let's take a quick look at this rig and see how to use it. Right, so this is a rig that's slightly more advanced than the rig that we created last semester, but it's very similar. Okay, first of all, the geometry layer is here and the rig layer is here. Okay, let me just go in. You may set your project and then bring in the texture, and it might just map a transparency, so just right click and break the connection here. Okay, you can just break connection on the transparency to get that texture looking right. Right, and a couple things, like this is the hand and arm manipulator, but here there is the fingers, okay, as well as finger spread, and there's some extra thumb rotations. Here's the look at, okay, there's some pelvis movement here and additional rotation. Here is the neck, okay, and above it, this selection handles the head, all right, and this is the spine, okay, pull vectors. So the one thing that we're really going to keep in mind is the Pac-Man-like control object up here, which blend shapes are just rigged to, all right? So the way they did that to this rig was simple. Just create a control object, then create attributes. Okay, so it's a little tedious. Create attributes for each one, and then connect it in the connection editor with the blend shape of the body. That's all that is done here. So the only difference from the characters you're building in the class is that you're not going to be animating this through the blend shape editor right here. Okay, blend shape window, because it's actually connected to this rigged object. So when you animate your characters, you will be using the blend shape window probably, unless you rig it similar to this. Okay. For today's exercise, I want you guys to be animating using this object. Now, you can of course grab everything and keyframe it like this, key selected, okay, and you can also animate it one by one. But what I like to do is I like to go ahead and go to the attribute editor, and under the left tab, which is the blend shape manipulator tab, if I go all the way down to the extra attributes section, okay, so you can close all these other ones. All right. So if you go to the extra attributes section, you'll get the nice controls with the dial, where you can get more detail in, and this can be animated like so. All right. There's no real way really to grab all of this in here. So if you need to keyframe all of them at once, then I'll go just back to the channel box and do it in here. All right, and then back to the attribute editor for the dial controls. Okay, so I think that's a good foundation on how to use this character. Now, one thing that could help is just to get your geometry layer to a reference, so you don't keep selecting it when you're selecting the control objects.